Amnesty believes that the death penalty is the ultimate human rights violation, and that makes the United States an egregious human rights violator.
That's the head of Amnesty International, William Schultz, as he released a study on human rights trends during the last decade. He went on to cite a new study by Columbia University that shows since capital punishment was reinstated almost a quarter century ago, appeals courts in America have overturned 2 out of every 3 death penalty convictions for serious reversible error.
That's chilling evidence that the administration of the death penalty is fundamentally and fatally flawed.
The author of the study, Columbia law professor James Liebman, says if a being from Mars looked at this system, that being would explain it this way.
Oh, I understand what this system is. It's a system for making mistakes and trying to catch them.
There is growing debate in the U.S. Congress about the death penalty, with large numbers of the lawmakers now pushing for safeguards against errors in imposing it. Republican Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont says there is growing evidence that a significant number of people sentenced to death in America in the late 20th century have been, in his words, absolutely, undeniably innocent. He says in the 20th century, a key crime-fighting tool was the fingerprint.
We all relied on fingerprints if they were there. In this century, DNA's the fingerprint of the 21st century.
And Senator Leahy is sponsoring legislation which would provide for DNA testing to ensure innocent people are not put to death. For example, after spending 9 years behind bars, Kirk Wudsworth became the first person in the United States to be cleared by DNA evidence. He strongly feels his lawyer was incompetent.
Most definitely. A man wouldn't even go to the neighborhood and question witnesses in my case.
He is but one of 62 inmates who have been freed because of DNA testing. 8 of them were on death row awaiting execution. In Houston, Texas, 11 people assembled. All had been convicted by eyewitness testimony, then released when it was proved wrong. Jennifer Thompson identified the man who she said raped her in 1984. 11 years later, the DNA tests proved he was not the man.
I'm here to tell you that eyewitnesses can make mistakes. And I am sorry. And I'm sorry that these people behind me had to serve time and could have been killed.
But critics of the proposed DNA law, such as Joshua Marcus, a prosecutor in the northwest U.S. state of Oregon, fear that it would clear the way for any prisoner to challenge a conviction.
It would simply be used as yet another tool by an undubitably guilty murderer to extend the appeals process another 5 or 10 years.
The U.S. Attorney General, Janet Reno, told reporters Thursday it's critically important not only that DNA testing be available to the accused,
but that they have access to other forensic and investigatory resources that will permit them to properly explore their claim of innocence.
Some Capitol Hill sources feel new capital punishment safeguards will be enacted next year, if not this year.